All right, board members, it is now 4:05. We are in open session now. We previously did our invocation and pledge before we went into closed. And so at this point, we are at item 4.01, comments from our superintendent. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I'm just excited this evening. I have just a few updates for you. We have been busy since the last time we met with several retreats, trying to prepare for the upcoming year. We are certainly in the midst of summer camps. We have 5 programs going, and we will conclude this summer with some bridge activities for students heading to kindergarten, 5th to 6th grade, and 8th to 9th grade. If you've not yet signed your youngsters up, we ask that you please call to do so. We would love to have them. Our summer graduation is scheduled for August 4th. We are certainly on the move there, and we are serving about 900 children at 4 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and remediation at 3 high schools for credit recovery at this time. So we just thank our law enforcement officers, our partners there are doing an amazing job this summer, and I'd like to publicly thank them for their partnership. The work they're doing certainly means a lot. We want to just encourage everyone to read this summer. Read. All youngsters should have received their packet of books. We're always excited to be able to do that. And the book bus is coming to a location near you. So I'm excited and thrilled that we're able to continue that good work. That's it for me, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Board members, do you have questions or comments for the superintendent?
I do have one more thing, if I may.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that, Mr. Chairman. We received earlier this week notice from Jeff Coltrane, the Senior Education Advisor to our governor, an update I would like to share, and I'll pass this around to our board members. Effective June 24th, North Carolina DHHS will be sunsetting the North Carolina Strong Schools Toolkit. And I will pass that notice around, and I'm sharing that publicly with our viewing audience. So just an FYI at this time, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you so much. Board members, now we'll go into some brief comments from myself. Just want to thank publicly our educators, our children and families, as well as our central services staff for a great year end. We pushed through to the end and did a wonderful job. We're hearing good things about just what occurred across the district over this last year. Ms. Lebrecht in closed session brought up something. She says, yes, it has been unprecedented for 2 years. Now let's stop talking about it. Let's focus on what's in front of us, and let's move forward and continue to make Granville County a great place to send their children for education.
Yes.
I do have 2 items of business for you today. I just want to, I did send you an email, but let you know that myself and Ms. Anderson went over to the state legislature yesterday. We heard in a committee hearing about our House bill concerning our board terms. It passed that committee. It went on to the Rules Committee. Representative Garrison was there with us and explained that the process will be after it passes the Rules Committee, it'll go to the House floor and then the Senate, then hopefully the governor. He said he did not see any opposition towards it. So hopefully by the end of this short session, we will have that taken care of. And that will begin with the next election cycle where we set forth that plan with the attorney of moving to 4-year terms. Want to also publicly thank the attorney for all the work that she did on that for us, working with the Department of Justice and the representative's office. So thank you, Eva.
Absolutely. And the committee did meet today. They didn't take it up, the Rules Committee, but they meet 3 times a week. So hopefully it will be on us.
All right. Ms. Anderson, if we need to go back and spur somebody, we will. Don't want to have to go through another session to make that happen. So the item that I'm bringing to you just for action on our board, we had several discussions prior to our election, our primary election, but also the conversation came up in our policy committee just a couple weeks ago concerning elections and how they affect our school system. Several years ago, when we had election day, traditionally schools were closed, so it never was an issue for us. When the primary started moving and things like that, and because we need to get our hours in at our schools, that ceased to happen. So we have several of our schools that are election sites. And what I'm asking permission from you for is the policy committee instructed me to bring to you the opportunity for us to send a letter to the Board of Elections asking them if they would take up the issue of looking for alternate sites for them to have polling places. Because of the safety of our students and educators, as well as the issue of just commingling political issues on our campuses, we have put together a letter. It's there on the screen for you to read. And with your approval today, we would send this letter to the Board of Elections asking them to find an alternate site. Again, this rests with that board. They would have to make that decision. We are pointing out that we feel like there are several community places that could take those places in place of our schools. And so at this moment, I bring this to you for action today. If you need a moment to read the letter, but basically I just hit the highlights for you. And if it's the pleasure of the board, we'd entertain a motion to send this to the Board of Elections.
I make a motion to send this information to the Board of Elections.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Dr. Houlihan and a second by Dr. McKnight. Is there further discussion? All right, seeing none, if you're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so this letter is prepared and ready to go, so it'll go out tomorrow in tomorrow's mail. Also, just wanted to let you know, myself and the superintendent did compose a letter on behalf of the board and the system thanking the commissioners for their recent action on our budget request. You'll hear more about that in just a few moments, but we felt like it was pertinent for us. We have publicly told them what we wanted and what we thought about it some days. We need to publicly thank them for coming to help us invest in our teachers and our educators and classified staff. So that letter, again, was signed by myself and Dr. Mclean, and it'll go out tomorrow as well on our behalf. This time, do you have any questions for me? All right, board members, are there anything that you would wish to report? All right, seeing none, we're ready to move on to our policy section of our agenda. First up is 6.01, proposed wellness days for next year's school year. And Dr. McLean?
All right, very nice. Call our first person up. Very nice. Mr. Graham.
Okay, Dr. McLean. Chairman Richardson and Vice Chair LeBrecq, the rest of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak to you briefly. As you recall, this last year, Dr. McLean floated the idea that we try a wellness day, and I'm happy to tell you all that it was very well received by staff and families. It was universally just received as a very positive thing. That being said, we want to go forward and recommend 2 wellness days for this upcoming year. So this is a change to the calendar, or an addition to the calendar. Remember that this is a half day. This is early release on 2 Fridays. This would be Friday, October 7th and Friday, February 24th. Different schools responded to this in different ways. Some of them had activities that went on all day. Some of
as wellness days. So this does come to you as an action item today.
Motion to approve as presented.
Have a motion by Dr. McKnight. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Peace. Do we have any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right. Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Thank you.
All right, our next item, Board Member 6.02, Spring 2022 Policy Updates. This is a second read of these policies. This was presented to you earlier in the month. There was some conversation around policy 4334 dealing with drones at that time. However, this does come to you as an item for action today. And do you have any questions before we proceed? All right, seeing none, what would be the pleasure of the board for these items?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Peace. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Williams. Is there any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, and our spring 2022 policy updates are approved. Our next item of business, 6.03, is the Granville County Public Schools Board of Education Policy Committee. If you remember correctly, we put this in place a couple months ago. They did meet a couple of weeks ago, and what they took up was two major policies. The first dealing with tuition for employees and those that care for our children in the district. And then the second one is dealing with some language around electioneering and politics. These have been presented to you on board docs. And so what would be the pleasure of the board? You have, let me rephrase this, you have a couple options. This is coming as a policy change. So this could be your first read and be brought back to you in August as a second. And Eva instructed that this is a 2/3 majority vote. All those in favor of waiving the second read of these four policies and approving these policies in this vote, if you will say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving on to 6.04, we have a new high school elective course at Granville Online. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you so very much. Dr. Winborn, we've added 3 courses, or we'll be adding 3 courses this fall online. Will you speak to us, please?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Today I bring you 3 additional online high school elective courses. This will add to the 21 elective courses that we currently offer online to all of our high school students and middle school students who are eligible to take these classes. The 3 courses are Introduction to Film Appreciation, Introduction to Animal Behavior, and Communications 101, Speech and Debate. There will be a team of teachers, our teachers, that will be authoring and reviewing these courses and then publishing them in our new LMS, Canvas. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about these courses.
Board members, do you have questions for Dr. Winborn?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
did you say LMS?
Yes, our learning management system. It's the online platform where the course will live and be delivered to the students.
Mr. Chair, does that kind of go along with the idea that we approved about making Granville Central a school that high school kids will connect with?
Not necessarily. These courses will be available to any Granville County Public Schools student grades 7 through 12, or 7 through 13, even at early college.
And that will, once again, be located where?
Virtually. These will be virtual. Yes, sir.
That's why we're pretty excited about these. Any student, 7 through 12, has access to 3 new electives in our district.
Any further questions?
One question kind of related to it. Do you know if high schools already have debate teams or anything? Because I noticed that's one of the electives. So.
We currently do not, that I know of. I'm thinking back in history, maybe about 10 or 12 years ago, that we did have at South Granville and JF Webb. So I'm hoping this might spur some interest to start that
That's
back up
right.
again. It's a wonderful
Would be really cool.
skill to have.
That's right.
That's good.
Good question. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. So board, this does come to you as an action item today to approve the 3 elective courses that will be housed with Granville Online. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Dr. McKnight and a second by Ms. Anderson. Is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we're moving on to 7.01, a principal and assistant principal retention proposal. Dr. Mclean?
All right, thank you. I'm going to call Ms. Hines and Mr. Perry to the podium, please, to walk us through this proposal. And Ms. Hunt. I'd like to introduce Ms. Hunt. You all need to be aware she has taken over the role of federal programs for our district, and when it comes to remaining compliant, we go through Mrs. Hunt. So thank you, Mrs. Hunt, for checking on things before we present them to our board to ensure compliance.
Good evening, or good afternoon rather, to each and every one of you that's here today. This afternoon, we want to talk a little bit about a principal and assistant principal retention plan that this team has come up with, comprised, and want to get it for your approval this afternoon. So I'm sure everyone is aware that we are in a serious staffing shortage right now, particularly in education. We are all competing against, districts are competing against each other for the best candidates. But we also want to make sure that we keep the candidates or the actual applicants and employees that we actually have on staff, because the market is so competitive. And it's not just for teachers as well, but it's also for administrators. So districts are also being more competitive in the packages they offer for administrators. And so we want to be just as competitive in our market to make sure that we retain the quality principals that we do have here in this district. We have some outstanding principals that have some plans for their schools and that are doing outstanding work. And so this proposal that we'll present this afternoon will kind of go into detail about what we intend to do or what we plan to do pending your approval. All right. So if you look on the screen, you'll see here, we're planning a one-time incentive for the next 2 years for each of the grade spans listed, elementary, middle, and high school, a one-time bonus for the I do want to add, I overstepped here just a little bit, that this is, although this is 2 years, this is something that we really want to consider for the future. How can we make this a part of salary and not just part of the bonus? Because you know how the principal salary schedule is designed. It's based on whether you met base, met growth, and expected growth. And we have a number of fairly brand new principals who have not, that don't have enough growth data in order to move to expected growth or exceeding growth. So this would be competitive for those entering the field for school administration as well.
And we are using, just so that you can know the process, that we do have to get this approved. So as the team planned, we did have to consult with DPI, so we're using our ESSER funds. So this is why this program, this retention incentive, is for 2 years, because as we would like to proceed with having it further, but for the next 2 years, we know we have these funds so that we'll be able to retain and recruit our qualified, highly qualified principals and assistant principals. Do you all have any questions?
Board members, I'm going to add, before they give the official recommendation, you know, I'm a little competitive, and I also want to keep our good people once we get our good people, and we want to recruit good people. in these positions. Once we began hearing what was occurring in other districts, we knew we had to do something. And so the recommendation that is going to come to you, you just heard Ms. Hunt say, is coming from ESSER dollars. The concern is after 2024, because this is what will occur through 2024, and I'm hoping everyone is hearing that who's listening. This is occurring through 2024 because we're using ESSER dollars. But after that time, we're going to need a sustainability plan so that this is not removed and is a part of people's salaries. So tonight's recommendation, this afternoon's recommendation, is in effect for ESSER funds, and it is through 2024. And we are happy to do that. I mean happy. We're excited about it because I want our folk to feel the same love and affection people are feeling in other districts, but it is the only pot of money we have right now. So I'll let you all finish the presentation, but I did have to insert that one piece.
So as you see on the screen, our recommendation is for approval of this retention plan for the next 2 years, using ESSER dollars.
Thank you.
All right, board members, any questions for the team?
Mr. Chair, real quick, I want to commend you for doing this. Our principals in the state have missed funding for some as it's been built into the salary schedule.
Yes.
I think that I would recommend that we give more money to high school principals. We know how horrific it is to
Good.
get a good high school principal.
True.
You know, and I would say more, but that's just me. But anyway, thank you.
We can do
Thank you for doing
that.
it.
Okay. May I ask for something?
Absolutely.
So we've heard about the sustainability. There's lots of things we've done to be competitive over the last few months, and I commend you for that. That COVID report is really, really hard to read. Can we get a report devised that will tell us what we've spent money on and what sunsets in 2024 so we know what we need to look at on a yearly basis for sustainability? As we start thinking towards, we know it's 2 years off, but we need to start thinking towards
fair.
what are those things?
Absolutely.
And maybe over the next few months, something like that.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
These are my whiz kids for keeping up with absolutely every penny. And just so this board knows, we meet as a collective team often, and they keep up with every brown penny to make sure, one, we don't run out of money, because that is something we've heard has happened to some districts. And what we don't want to do is to run out of money. That would be a real fear of mine. But two, that it is being used appropriately and in the right ways. So that is where I do give kudos to Ms. Hunt, Ms. Hines, and Mr. Perry, because they make sure Ms. Hunt checks before we come to you as to whether the funds can be used in these ways. We bring you, and we get state approval
That's good.
prior to even coming to you. So, and I agree with Dr. Houlihan tonight after having been a high school principal. So if we want to make that a part of the motion, we're happy to go back
Okay.
and elevate some.
Are you saying we can raise it to 10,000?
Say that again.
He's asking, are you saying 10,000? We could raise it to 10,000?
Yes, sir.
How about 20?
I don't know if we have that much
I
without
see some
running
squinching
out.
over here.
Because there are some other projects too, only because there are other projects. But I certainly agree, and our principals in general in each category probably could go up an extra 1,000 in high school, 2,000, to be quite honest. But I'm just grateful that we have quality leadership in schools who have hung in there and are still hanging in there with us, and I don't want to see them walk out the door. But I know some other people are offering some things, and they are salary, and that scares me. So I think we can take care of it through 2024, but after that, we need to have something else in a plan.
Okay. All right, before we, you go ahead.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I think, I totally agree. I think that us investing our any extra ESSER funds that we have in our people across the district is, I mean, huge.
Absolutely.
And I think it is also crucial that we make sure that, I agree, we want to make sure that it's something that we can maintain and sustain going forward after 2024.
That's right.
Because, yeah, it's been so long since we've shown appreciation to our teachers and our principals and all of them. And I mean, I think it's just, they're owed that kind of appreciation.
Yes.
So.
Taking care of our teachers, our principals, our classified, our certified, just everyone is critically important. Those who've been good to Granville County, we need to take care of them. I agree. Thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, one of the concerns I have about actually raising it is the sustainability. The more you do after 24, the more we're going to need if we try to sustain what we're already doing. So that might affect what we do right now.
True.
So I'm going to not do that.
Okay. Any further questions before we move for action? All right.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself and not participate in the vote.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. We're at this point ready to entertain a motion. You've seen the recommendation. Stan, if you could put that back up. Recommendation is to approve the multi-year financial bonus plan for principals and assistant principals that's been presented to you. Again, you do have the leeway if you want to adjust those numbers. So what would be the pleasure of the board?
Did you say, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, motion to approve
As presented?
as presented.
Okay. We have a motion to approve as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Anderson. Do you have further discussion?
Just real quick, does this motion include $10,000 for the
No,
high
so
school?
what she made the motion was to approve as they presented. If you'd like to make a substitute motion to increase that, you're welcome to.
I would like to do that.
Okay. Wait, hold on one second. So you're increasing high school principals
Mhm.
to 10,000?
Yes.
All right, so we have a substitute motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Williams. Is there any further discussion?
I would like to ask a question with regards to that. And, I am totally in favor saying that I feel that our principals and all of those that you have listed there deserve that and even more. But the concern I have is pretty much like what Mr. P said. If it goes up, and we can do that because we have it on the ESSER funds, but when that ends and then we are back, to the budget that we're dealing with now, I definitely would not be in favor of dropping back down what we have built up. If we would take it at that time for us to continue to keep it at 8 or 10, depending on the budget. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That would be devastating to give them an additional 2 and then have to pull it back down based on our budget. That's all I'm just concerned about, because we really need to make sure, and we lose the ESSER funds after 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the concern.
So we have 3 high schools, and we're talking about
We
2,000.
have 4 high schools.
4, okay, well, that's right,
What-
Granville
how
Area
does
College. So we're
Granville
talking about
Academy
$8,000.
Vicki, we normally put Granville Academy.
Yeah, okay.
In the middle.
So we'd have 5.
In the middle, okay, so 4 high schools.
Okay.
Phoenix, 5.
5 with Granville
Okay,
College.
I'm sorry, 4.
Oh, okay. Traditional high schools.
Yeah, so you're looking at about $8,000 plus
Yes.
FICA.
Yes.
Plus FICA a year. Okay.
All right. So the motion, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna explain when you have a substitute motion.
Go ahead.
So there's 2 ways we can go about it, because it's essentially a request to amend the original motion. So either if you can vote to take up the substitute motion instead, and then you have to vote on the motion itself, unless the maker of the original motion and the second would just
Change.
agree to
Okay.
change.
So that was LeBrecq and Anderson, would you agree to that amendment, or would you rather not?
Are you saying an amendment to pull hours back or go to the 10?
To go to the 10. You don't have to, it's up to you.
Yeah, well, I would not, and it's because of the reason I said. I do not want to go up to an amount, and once we lose the ESSER funds, not be able to continue to support their raise.
Okay.
May I interrupt?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ms. Hunt just confirmed that when she had this approved through DPI, it was approved for the specific amounts for each
Okay.
line. So going up has not been approved yet for DPI.
Okay.
So just to put that in your mind.
Well, keep us legal. Thank you.
All right.
Can I ask a question? Would that be something that could be amended next year?
Yes.
Okay.
So at this point, parliamentary procedure-wise, we need to vote whether we're taking up a substitute motion. Is that a simple majority?
Yes, so the question before the body is, do you want Dr. Houlihan's motion to replace Ms. LeBrecq's motion and be voted on?
Okay. All those in favor of Dr. Houlihan's motion replacing Ms. LeBrecq's motion?
But the issue, though, is that it hasn't been presented to DPI.
Right.
Well, what would be is based off of DPI's approval. And if DPI said no, then we'd have to come back and redo it. So we're out on that ledge at this point.
I know.
So the substitute motion would include that language,
Yeah, it could. if
subject
you're
to
okay
the
with that.
approval of DPI.
Ms.
And
Williams,
who seconded the substitute motion?
Ms. Williams.
Okay.
are you okay with that, Ms. Williams, adding that language? Okay. All right, so all those in favor of taking up Dr. Houlihan's motion at this point, if you'll raise your hand. And all those opposed? All right, so now we're back to the original motion, which is the recommendation presented. You see those numbers on the screen there, the principal of the AP bonuses. Is there any further discussion before we take that motion? All right. And as you did hear, this could be amended next year if you so choose or that. All right. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, if you raise your hand. And all those opposed. All right, so it carries 6-0 with a recusal. Hold on one second. All right, so that passes. Thank you so much.
Thank
Board,
you
thank
all.
you for that. Next is 7.03, our 22-23 classified salary scales. What am I missing? I don't have that on mine. Oh, I do have that on mine, sorry. I'm sorry.
You missed one.
All right, so we just did the principal and AP retention proposal. Now we're doing 7.02, GCPS mileage reimbursement and addendum. Ms. Hines?
Thank you, board members. Again, this is an addendum. We just recently, in April, increased the Granville County Schools mileage reimbursement rate to the state rate, which is currently 56 cents per mile. What we failed to do at that time is recognize that principals and APs receive a travel stipend rather than mileage reimbursement. So that travel stipend was not adjusted to reflect that increase in mileage reimbursement. The current annual travel stipends are listed for principals and APs there. We are proposing an approximately 30% increase, which is a little bit less than the increase that the mileage was reimbursed, the mileage reimbursement was increased. We are expecting this increase to cost an additional $19,409. Do you have any questions?
All right, no questions? All right, board, this does come to you as an action item today. Dr. Midnight.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself and not participate in this vote.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, board, this comes to you as an action item. What would be the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion, we approve it as presented.
All right, We have a motion by Ms. LeBrecq, and we have a motion by Ms. Williams and a second by Ms. LeBrecq to approve as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you for that. Now we will do 7.03. 22-23 classified salary scales. Mr. Perry?
Thank you so much, Chairman Richardson and board members. I'm going to open this one for you a little bit. We intended on bringing you those salary scales today, but because of the current status of our budget from the state, I emailed you all a copy night before last, and we know the state has not finished their work, so we can't finish our work. So we're going to bring you what we have thus far and some good information until we meet again. So let's pick it up from there. How about that?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. We don't necessarily need to go through that background information as Dr. Mclean already has. Just a reminder that we contracted with the Hill Group to update the classified salary schedule to meet the minimum $15 per hour with appropriate increases annually, so to alleviate that compression of the $15 an hour state mandate. Next slide. Again, as Dr. Mclean said, we were preparing with that anticipated 2.5% increase, and lo and behold, we have this potential 4% increase by the state. So updated scales will be presented at the August board meeting. But we were honestly so excited about some of the changes that were happening that we really wanted to share those with you. Next slide, please. So we're very excited that the new scales will include that $15 per hour minimum with a step increase for each year of experience. So that compression issue is not an issue anymore. If you remember correctly, we have always had two different scales for our classified employees. One called a classified salary scale and one called a local salary scale. The Hill Group has helped us to combine those scales, so now we have one scale that cleanly progresses through the position, so it's much cleaner and easier to understand. We are also excited that in our local scales, previously, the progression were what's called banded. Basically, a person would stay at the same pay level for 5 or 6 years before progressing to the next level. And all of the pay grades on the new scale are going to be adjusted so that they increase every year instead of having those bands. So we're excited about that. And we're mostly excited that it's in a format now that we can easily revise and update as needed as we move forward. So we appreciate the Hill Group's support with developing that scale, and we think it's a really good step ahead for the district in general. Do you have any questions?
I do, I'm sorry. Would you explain again compression?
Absolutely, absolutely. So with this new state mandate, when we look at our current scales, like for this year, the minimum hourly rate was $13 an hour. And what that looks like on our pay scales right now is because we didn't fix compression this year. I think it's about 7 years, 6 or 7 years, that lowest rate will remain at that 13 an hour rate for 6 or 7 years. When we were looking at moving our scales up to $15 an hour, if we just plugged in that minimum to our existing scales, some of our employees would be making $15 an hour for 20 to 25 years. And that doesn't happen in any real life place. So, and that is something that we really felt that we were obligated to fix for our employees. And we are grateful. I don't want to give a sneak peek to our budget discussion, but we are grateful that we're able to fix this completely in the upcoming year. Any other questions?
Okay. Board, at this point, I'm going to hand over the chairmanship to Ms. LeBrecq and recuse myself from this vote. So, Ms. LeBrecq?
Well, is Is it not just an informational item?
You're absolutely right. This was an action item, but it is now purely informational, as we have no scales to present to you.
You did a great job chairing. Good job. All right, thank you so much for the work y'all are doing on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, next up is 7.04. This was a carryover from our last board meeting, the insurance providers. Dr. Mclean?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You're right. This is a carryover, and it will consist of several different facets. So, Ms. Hines.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Presented today is a review of our proposed insurance providers and premiums for 2022 and 2023. Included is the 21-22 information, so you have that as a comparison.
Board members, this is in your folder. You'll find this sheet in your folder. I'm sorry, Vicki.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Please note, yes, it's very small, Ms. Green, I do apologize. Please note that we do not yet have information for our volunteer accident, field trip, or fidelity bond insurance, which is typical for this time of year. Many of our providers and premiums will remain the same with minimal changes to the premiums. I'd like to point out the following changes that you'll see on that chart. For commercial property, you see a pretty significant increase of $62,000. And that is due to the Granville Central High School electrical claim that we made, because once you make a claim, your insurance goes up, and that is true for districts as well. This is the lowest bid by far. The next one was in the 200,000 range. So we feel like that is the best bid that we can get at this moment. Workers' compensation is increased due to a change in the reporting of staff numbers. I did verify that I had simply reported those numbers correctly, but apparently this is common across the district now because there's a bit of a change across the state. We do have an annual audit of this insurance and are either required to pay additional or we'll get a refund if our payment is off. So we're pretty safe in that sense. Our auto and garage liability increase is simply due to vehicle updates in the district and overall cost increases. And remember, that's our auto insurance, but it's also insurance for our garages. That's our transportation garage, but also the shops that are at the high schools. So it's insurance for those as well. Catastrophic athletic high school insurance has been a hot topic this year. It was previously offered by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. However, that option has been handed to the North Carolina Department of Insurance, and they have been courting our high schools heavily for them to retain this insurance. According to our insurance provider that we use as a consultant, and this is not even the insurance provider that offers the coverage we have, the catastrophic accident insurance that we hold through McGriff Insurance meets this requirement sufficiently. This catastrophic accident insurance covers all of our students in the school setting, but also our athletes at sponsored athletic events. And finally, there was a change since I first gave you this information in the cyber insurance. We received that proposal just recently. This cyber insurance is no longer going to be covered by the North Carolina School Board Association. Our insurance provider received quotes for us, and the recommended provider is Cowbell Cyber. So that is a change in provider from previous years. The cost is about the same. Our coverage is different because costs in that area of insurance have increased significantly due to obvious issues. Do you have any questions about any of these insurance providers or recommendations?
Thank you so much for all the work on this. Board, this does come to you as an action item to approve our insurance providers and the premiums as presented. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. LeBrecq. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. McKnight. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. Next up is our budget amendment, 7.05.
Right.
Hold on tight. We're going to go through these pretty quickly. But please do stop me if you have any questions along the way. In our state funds, the amendment is to update state allotments for transportation and technology. This also includes ABC transfers to move state textbooks funds back into our state carryover account, as we were able to use other state funds to cover that expense, and to transfer another ABC transfer of position dollar from positions to dollars for CTE. And this amendment also includes general year-end budgetary corrections. The total increase in state funds is $73,452, with a total ending budget of $55,928,875. In our local funds, the amendment is to move funds to support programmatic needs, as well as to allocate additional revenue received from local sales tax refund, out-of-county tuition, and county fines and forfeitures. This also includes general year-end budgetary corrections. The total increase in local funds is $136,089, with a total ending budget of $18,484,740. In our capital outlay funds, the amendment is to allocate FEMA funds received for the South Granville High School gym floor and local sales tax refund. The total increase in capital outlay funds is $58,191, with a total ending budget of $6,587,003. Oh my gosh, $903. Thank you very much. In our child nutrition funds, the amendment is to allocate additional revenue received. The total increase in child nutrition funds is $388,862, with a total ending budget of $4,261,221. In our community schools funds, the amendment is to allocate additional revenue received. The total increase in community schools funds is $90,061, with a total ending budget of $282,613. And the last amendment this month is within the other restricted fund. This is allocating additional revenue received for recycling, Medicaid, junior ROTC, transcript fees, driver's ed fees, insurance proceeds, local donations, and ABC county funding. This also includes general year-end budgetary corrections. The total increase in other restricted funds is $436,586, with a total ending budget of $8,234,158. Those are the budget amendments this month. Do you have any questions?
There'll be a test on this after a while. All right. Good. Board members, this is presented to you as an action item. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Dr. McKnight. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Anderson. Do we have any further discussion? All right, see done. If you're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, that carries. Next item is 7.06, a financial update.
Board members, we typically start this part of the conversation with a review of our financial status to date. We are still in the midst of closeout. And I saw that Beth does not typically present this information at this particular closeout meeting. So I'm going to take her lead and know that I will be finishing that closeout process after this meeting. I do want to share with you that our closeout has been moving along very well, and we expect to use the vast majority of our state funds. Our district departmental teams have worked hard during a year of a large number of vacancies, a late budget, and supply chain issues to make sure that their funds are used well. And our finance team has been exceptional during this transition period and making sure that we close out well. What you do have next is that lovely COVID report funds as of May 31st. And I agree with you, Mr. Richardson. I'm happy to provide a clearer picture of those COVID funds, absolutely. Again, the total expenditures were $9,923,935 by May 31st. Our total allotment is $26,653,596 with a balance of $16,729,662. The next page shows those amounts graphically, which you've been showing. Thank you very much. You can also see charts on the last page. You see that those are by expenditures, absolutely. And the charts on the last page show that, the majority of expenditures are salary and benefits, 71.2%. Are there any questions about the COVID funds? Okay. Next, we have a report on board member travel through June 30th. So this does include all board travel for the year. The budget for the current year is $6,317. Expenses to date are $2,862.99, which leaves a remaining balance of $3,454.01. You can see the breakdown by board member as well as type of expenditure. Do you have any questions?
I'm just curious. Oh, geez. The money that we don't spend in travel on the board, does that go into fund balance at the end of the year?
It absolutely does.
Doing our part. Not a very large part, but doing our part.
Just every penny counts.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Hines? All right. Next item is our 2022-23 budget update. Ms. Hines?
We are very excited to share, which you may already be aware of. We are pleased to announce that the Granville County Board of Commissioners has wrapped up their budget process for 22-23. We have preliminary information on the budget items for the district. We have not received the final report to date, so please know that any figures presented are estimated. Okay. I just wanted to bring up our original request to the board, to the county. The first two items that we requested were those continuation funding, right? The increase for GCPS of $360,000 was for the increased cost of benefits and increased salary for our locally paid employees, and then of course that increase for capital outlay. Then there's the additional increase for charters that we have to count for as well. But the county approved both of those without question, and we do appreciate that. So that continuation budget is fully funded by the county commissioners. Next slide. What is absolutely amazing is that this big, huge ask that we made for this unfunded mandate by the state, this $15 an hour decompression, we had to ask, including the portion for the charters, for $1.4 million, which we recognized was a lot to ask for. And our county commissioners came through and have developed a 3-year commitment to support us in that process. And we are just incredibly grateful to the county commissioners for doing this. I do want to introduce that caveat in there that if the state does change their funding for this to meet this decompression issue, then there may be a revised commitment there, and that is completely understandable. Absolutely. But I just wanted to give, on the next slide, you'll see that basically in this first upcoming year, the county is going to provide 1/3 of that request, and we're going to supply the rest through our use of fund balance. The second year, 23-24, the county increases another 1/3 so that we'll use less of our fund balance to support that change. And then by 24-25, the county will be fully funding that decompression. And so, but I really wanted to share with you all that we're going to be using $1.4 million of our fund balance over the course of 3 years to make that. The amazing thing is we have that available in fund balance. We are incredibly grateful that we have that available in fund balance.
Board members, I can't let this moment pass without one saying, that's incredible. It just is. And publicly, we want to go on record saying thank you, and we are most appreciative for this. I was in contact with so many superintendents from across the state, and this is not the case. But I'm appreciative to be in a district where it is. This was wonderful, and I want to publicly thank Mike Feltz for the conversations and the communication and your work to assist with helping get this done. Second, I want to thank you, Vicki Hines, for your work in those conversations with me and on behalf of our board as we approached this decompression topic that is something none of us foresaw. You did a beautiful job, and I want to say thank you.
Ms. Hines, do the numbers on the county side reflect charter pass-through already?
It does.
It
Okay.
does.
It does.
Yep, it's
Awesome.
out there.
Yes.
It's there.
Yes, sir.
So we use this money for this specific thing, and the charters get 308,000, and they can use it any way they want to, can't they?
Correct.
So and most of them use contract people. So there's another bit of money that, isn't that interesting? Thank you very much.
All right, any further questions for Ms. Hines or any comments? All right, this comes to you as good information only. Thank you, Ms. Hines.
Great way to say that.
Our next item is 7.08, our interim budget resolution for 2022-23.
Historically, this has been the one reason to meet.
You are very welcome. On this we consider this New Year's Eve in the finance department. But on this New Year's Eve, we need to turn our attention to tomorrow and starting the new fiscal year, which is tomorrow. And this interim budget resolution allows the district to use the necessary funds for operation until the 22-23 budget is approved. So we ask that you make this agreement as we move forward. Do you have any questions?
Y'all keep talking.
I'm sorry.
I can come up with a
Good
good,
save.
I got a question.
That was a good save, Dr.
Are we
He's up to some good things.
Are we anticipating, based on what the legislature is doing now, that they will have a budget out sooner this year than last year?
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
definitely, definitely. It
Good
is,
news.
it is a potential
That's right.
to have the information in July.
Yes.
Wonderful.
It is
Yes.
potential.
Hey, we're back.
A lot sooner.
All right, so board, this does come to you as an action item for you to instruct me at your pleasure to sign this document. What would be the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we adopt the 22-23 interim budget resolution. Authorize the chair to sign it.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Williams and a second by Mr. Peace to authorize the interim budget resolution for 2022-23. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Board members, at this point, you see there, you have dates to remember there. The Webb Telescope event is coming up, as well as our next board meeting will be August 1st, barring any catastrophes, which will not happen next month. And then our summer graduation shortly after that, August 4th. Do have one other item of business for you that is not on your agenda. All right, Board, we would like to ask for your permission to write a letter of thanks to Mike Feltz in honor of his service to the county. If you allow us and instruct us to do that, we'll work and craft that. You'll obviously get a copy. A resolution would require a meeting, so that's why we're asking for the letter. What would be the pleasure of the board?
Motion that we do that.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Peace and a second by Ms. LeBrecq. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All of those opposed. It's really hard to do business up here sometimes. Board members, at this time, we do need to go back into closed session for some personnel items. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A6, A3, A5, and Section 115C 321 for personnel attorney-client privilege.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. McKnight and a second by Ms. LeBrecq. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We are now in closed session. All right, board members, we're back in open session. Would like to bring to you the approval of personnel exhibits as presented in closed session. What would be the desire of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Peace and a second by Ms. Williams. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Madam Superintendent, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Board, do you have anything else? All right. We would like to let the executive cabinet know the board has voted to extend to those who did not receive the first or the second Granville County Public School retention bonus. We would like to extend that to you today. And so we'll work with finance to get the approval. If that's approved by ESSER dollars, we'll use that. If not,
Fund balance.
Fund
we'll go
balance.
to fund balance. I couldn't remember where we said. So we do appreciate you guys. We definitely thank you, knowing that you sacrificed and said you didn't want it, but we wanted to extend that to you because we want to retain you as well. And we are very thankful for the work you've done for us. And so we appreciate that. Is there anything else from the board? All right, remember again, you have your dates to remember there on your board docs there. And if there's nothing else, I would like to entertain a motion that we adjourn until August.
So move.
Second, twice.
A motion by Dr. McKnight and 2 seconds by Mr. Peace. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We will see you in August unless we need to call you back.